Thank you, everybody. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Jazmin Locke-Rodriguez. I wear a few hats. I'm currently a postdoc associate at FIU Institute of Environment. I'm associated with both CREST Aquatic Chemistry Lab and agroecology. I'm also the founder of Phytoflora Gardens, a small business where I'm aiming to help scale and bring more floating wetlands to our region. And today I'm going to tell you a little bit more about some of the pilots that we have going on and also what productive floating wetlands are, which are a bit of a spin on what a traditional floating wetland may be. I think we've all heard a lot about nutrients today. Clearly, nitrogen and phosphorus runoff is causing a lot of issues for our bay, our watershed, and beyond. And we've already heard a lot about the sources and some of the damages that they can cause. So what's nice is I like to say we need a lot of tools in our toolkit to help treat nutrient pollution, right? And we just heard a little bit about how we might help prevent those nutrients from running off our shorelines. And we've also heard earlier about how you might even help reconstruct parks and other development to help incorporate more natural infrastructure to help remediate nutrients as well. But floating treatment wetlands are a type of infrastructure that are, bringing the power of wetlands and plants directly into water bodies themselves. So helping treat water and help treat that nutrient pollution that's already in the water that might have been missed by these other parts of the toolkit or the treatment train. So some of the benefits of a floating treatment wetland is that the plants that naturally help remove nutrients won't be submerged in water during flooding. And we have so much stormwater infrastructure, stormwater ponds, canals, etc., that we depend on for holding water quantity. And so by being able to place these floating wetlands into our existing stormwater structure, we can kind of adapt to our urban landscapes quickly and treat what's in the water. So we can see here their floating wetlands are growing around the world. There's a lot of ancestral history with them as well. And so the Chicago River, for example, is creating the floating mile, where they're working on like a mile long of floating wetlands. Baltimore Harbor is as well, and we're going to see some in the Miami area too. So environmental benefits, naturally these plants are able to, again, help absorb these nutrients. And what I've also learned is that a lot of our stormwater areas are actually treated with herbicide to help kill off the algae and invasive weeds, aquatic weeds that are growing in our water bodies. So by having a natural approach, we can move away from herbicidal spraying, which benefits our aquatic wildlife. It benefits the overall quality of our ecosystems. And to also emphasize the economic benefits, so if we don't have to spray, that's one less thing we have to pay for on that side. They're modular, so they're easy to install. They can be easy to relocate and remove. Say we are able to help prevent pollution, we can now move this wetland somewhere else. I like to say, the septic to sewer process is kind of a long game. In the meantime, we can quickly put a floating wetland in a water body to help clean the pollutants directly where they are at the moment. And if we want to change that in the future, we can. So a lot less construction, a very fast turnaround. So productive floating wetlands is something that I've coined that includes growing something on a floating wetland to harvest for sale. So really, the more you harvest the biomass off of these floating wetlands, the more the plants will regrow, the more we're removing the nutrients. It's a natural process. But of course, that's manual labor. And so I was really interested in helping incentivize that work. And so I'm looking into, I've been, as I say it in researcher hat and business hat, right? So I've worked with a lot of cut flowers. I use cut flowers on my freshwater floating wetlands. And we're looking into mangrove saplings and other native plants that we can grow in brackish installations for the purpose of growing them for, let's say, 6 months to a year, and then being able to up-pot them and actually plant them on the shoreline. And since these mangroves will have been exposed to brackish water during their nursing period, they should also have more resilience to once they're planted, so they'll have a higher survival rate. So I'm thankful to have received a USDA postdoc grant to continue optimizing productive floating wetlands for what the USDA acknowledges as the bioeconomic sector of the bioeconomy, using a natural organic product, and specifically the circular bioeconomy. Whatever buzzword we need to use to make it happen, I'm here for it. But so the way I see it is we're using a waste product, a natural waste product, in this case the nutrients, to create a new product. And so as a part of that grant, I'm doing 2 different 12-month trials, one in freshwater, one in brackish. We're doing extension training sessions to teach folks how to install floating wetlands. We did one already this past spring. And we'll also be doing a bioeconomy workshop in June and doing a survey for stakeholders to see how we can help scale this initiative along with other bioeconomic initiatives. So it's nice to see the USDA interested. So our primary freshwater pilot is in the village of Pinecrest. It is located in a residential canal. So here's Pinecrest. This is the septic coverage, so almost 99% of Pinecrest is on septic. They have really difficult invasive weed issues. Their nutrient levels are lower than some of the thresholds, though we're still working on what those really need to be, but they can have through the summer, and clearly they're also being absorbed into the hydrilla growth as well. And so there's been a herbicide contract for many years. So our floating wetlands, we have 3 34 square meter islands in this residential canal off of Southwest 70th Avenue Canal. It feeds into the Cutler Drain Canal, which is managed by the district. These smaller residential ones are actually under the direct jurisdiction of the village, which has been a convenient way to get in there and see and pilot this work. And really very thankful to the village for wanting to see and pilot this work. So we started with 1 island last spring, and then we expanded to 3 with the USDA grant in the fall. The species utilized, I have what I call a perimeter of native wetland plants, which includes irises, goldenrods. Some of the goldenrods were in the flower arrangements you guys saw on the tables today. Milkweed for the butterflies, and our flower crops include marigolds, celosia, also in the bouquets today, and other ones we've been working with. Thanks for that. So floating wetlands can utilize a few different products. You can see there's 2 different ones here. We've used bee mats and we've been using Atlin. There's pros and cons to both. That's also kind of part of the study as well. Bee mats is I'd say easier to implement. Atlin is something that for my purposes is really great because we can walk on it a little more robust and we can actually utilize more variety of plants on them. So some of the water quality you can see here, so I have the nutrients from last year, and they were mostly in a similar range between March and December. For nitrogen, it spiked in the summer. That is when the hydrilla grows. So these are actually in our reference canals, which are upstream and downstream of our main sites. So you can see a lot of hydrilla was actually growing in these sites. And when we put our first island in, they actually stopped spraying herbicide. So this is, we're still working on monitoring the hydrilla directly, but it was a nice indicator that even in stopping the herbicide spray in the canal we're in, there was a lot less hydrilla growing, even though in previous years there's been a lot more. Okay, so this is some of our biomass harvests. Still working with the best timing, best way to transplant, but we were able to have a nice harvest for 2025 that we included, that Village of Pinecrest was able to include in their MS4 report, or will be including in their MS4 report going forward. And the stems we're tracking as well to see how well they do in the bouquets. So these are our 3-island expansion. You can see a lot of birds are enjoying them as well, and we're able to get on top of them to help with the monitoring. And that's Anna Zangroni, the Sea Grant Extension Agent. We've been working together as well on this grant. I realize I'm already probably over time. So still a little early. I'm doing more extensive sampling on the inlet, midpoint, and outlet of each of these 3 islands. This was for the first quarter. So we're seeing a little bit of improvement on the phosphorus on the outlet side. Nitrogen, we're still not really seeing a detectable change on the outlet side, but I'm looking forward to, as the plants grow in, to hopefully be able to see more of that. But that, typically with floating wetlands, we really lean into the biomass harvest and how much nutrients were removed through that analysis. Okay, so quickly, in the BBC North Campus, we have our first brackish water installation. Actually, in this site, we're using all 3 different types of floating wetlands, beemets, Atlan, and cork as well. This is, as a part of the installation, we did our first extension workshop, which was really exciting. And we had a lot of great folks from the county, the parks, come out to learn how to get these in the water and how to get them planted. At the end of our 12-month trial for this installation, we're going to up-pot the mangroves and see how well they can, how their survivability in the pots, and then hopefully find a place to plant them as well, and monitor how well they survive compared to typically grown nursery mangrove saplings. So productive floating wetlands and floating wetlands as a whole can be placed in any place with stormwater bodies. We have a small one at Lion Farm and Homestead. We just put in our first one at Oak Grove Park, a Miami-Dade County park, which is pretty exciting as well. We're leaning into our pollinator plants over there, and also starting to trial some what I'm calling living dock gardens with residents on their properties as well who have docks. So here's a quick map of all of our very humble floating wetlands. They measure up to about 171 square meters, which is definitely still very small compared to our watershed. We're projected to remove about 8 kilograms of nitrogen and 2.5 kilograms of phosphorus for the year. And for other points of consideration, especially in these some of the different types of products, we can put additional filter media in these baskets to enhance the filtration. We were talking to Everglades Oysters about putting some oysters along our islands as well in the brackish sites to see how we can really enhance the nutrient uptake. So thank you so much. I'm really interested in continuing to scale this work and happy to continue conversations about where and how best we can apply these. So thank you.